So now we want to begin. What is the first thing you need to do? You need to fold your material into two. Your material has to be folded into two, just as I have done mine. The area that is closed have to face you, and the open side have to be on the left hand side, right hand side, please, to enable you cut. That is, if you are a right-handed person, it should be on this side to enable you cut freely and easily. All right, so what's the next thing you need to do? You need to determine the extent you are going to fold your material. You need to determine the extent you are going to fold your material. And what enables you to determine the extent you fold your material is the highest side of your the measurement is what you're going to use. We have the hip, the waist line, we have the hips line here, and so the higher will determine the number you are going to use in where bending your material. Now we have the hip of 44 and we have the waist of 34. So 44 automatically is going to be our bending. We're going to use the number to bend. So when you divide each of the waist, you're going to divide it by 4. You divide your hips by 4. Very important. You are dividing the number, the total number you get, you're going to divide it by 4. The total number of the hips, you're going to divide it by 4. So now the waist, another thing you do is also to determine the length of your material. I mean, where the skirt you want it to end. So mine is going to be 25. The length is going to be a 25. So we are going to talk about that when we get there. But the first thing now we want to do is this. We need to impute our waist measurement. We want to impute our waist measurement. So the waist measurement is 34. The waist measurement is going to be 34. 34 divided by 4 will give you 9.5. So this is it. You put your 9.5 here. I have my 9.5 here. Hope you can see it. This is my 9.5. Now I put sewing allowance 9.5. So I will be having 10. I'll be having 10. So what else do this skirt need to have a dart? It's going to have a dart to bring out the beauty. So we put 1 inch dart, 1 inch. So we are having 11 here. What you are having is total of 11. Total of 11. Total of 11 is what we are going to have here. So now when we come to the hips line, the hip is 44. 44 divided by 4, we are having 11. We're having 11. We're having it. This is my 11 here. There's not going to... what else do we add here? You might decide to add ½ inch or quarter inch ease around the hips line. You might decide not to add, but it's always good to put an ease to enable your client to walk freely, so that if it's those who doesn't like too tight fitted material, so you might add or you might remove it depending on what your client wants. So I'm going to leave it at 11 here. And what else do I need to add? Seam allowance. So 11.5 is what I'm going to have here. 11.5. My waist, my hip is 11.5. The total is 11. I add seam allowance, just ½ inch seam allowance. So you might make it 12 for ease. All right, so that is what we have here. So now notice that at this waistline, I am leaving a quarter inch. You can see it. I'm leaving a quarter inch all the way. Why? The essence is to attach the band. This skirt is going to have a band. The skirt is going to have a band. So I am giving the gap so that I'll be able to put the waistband. Now remember, the next thing we are going to put is the dart. How do you determine the dart? You can use the bust measurement to determine where the dart will be the size of the dart. Now, from one nipple to another nipple is usually 8. It's usually 8. So when you divide it by 2, you'll be having 4. So you can add an ease that is sewing allowance quarter or half inch sewing allowance. That is, we'll be having, you divide it by 2. From one nipple to another nipple is 8. When you divide it by 2, you are having, it's a standard, you will be having 4. You'll be having a 4. Just add it half to enable you get an ease on it. So what I'm having here now is I'm adding my that 4.5. So how do you determine the length of your dart? 4. You just make it 4. 4 is usually okay by me. 4 is usually okay by me. Hope you're seeing it. So you rule it. After ruling it, you can take quarter inch by both sides. Quarter inch by both sides. Quarter inch by both sides. So you use your ruler. When you have done that, you use your ruler and rule it. Quarter inch by both sides. You can see it. So my dart is there. So now the next thing we are going to do in this is to determine the length. Remember we said that the skirt is going to have a band, 2 inches band. So we're going to minus it as well. We're not going to put exactly 25, which is the skirt, the full length. We're not going to put 25. If we put 25, by the time we put the band, it's going to be above the length. We're going to be having something like 27, and which will not be nice. So we are going to minus the 2 inches as we're measuring. Don't add it. Just start measuring from 2. So this is it now. So by the time we finish, when we put the band, it will correspond to 25 that we wanted. Take note of that. So now, having done that, we now come to the ending part. How do you determine where you put your where you're going to cut? Remember too that you're going to put a vent. There should be an opening by the leg side so that to enable an ease, so that it will not be too tight on your client. So what you simply do is this: minus 1.5, minus 1.5 from your hip line, minus 1.5. Whatever you get, you can add seam allowance, just half inch seam allowance. What do we have here? The hips, we have 12. We have 12. So if we minus 1.5, we'll be having 10.5. We'll be having 10.5. 10.5 is what we'll be having here. 10.5. So that will help us. 10.5 is the size we're going to have here. So now let us explain again. We measure here the waist. The waistline was 34. 34 was the total waist, and we divide it by 4. When you divide it by 4, we have 9.5. 9.5, we add ease. That is ease on the around the waist so that it will not be too tight. We add ease, so it gave us 10, and we add 1 inch again. We added 1 inch again. We have 9.5. We added 1 inch seam allowance, and we also added that. We added that 1 inch, and that is what we have here. So we have a total of 11 inches on this, on our waist. And on the hips, we have hips of 44. When we divide our hips by 4, we have 11. We added seam allowance, half inch seam allowance. For those who want, you may add an ease like quarter inch, but for me 11.5 is okay by me. So that is what we said at this hemming part. What you need to do is to remove 1.5 from what you have here. Remove 1.5 from the hips align. Whatever you get, you put it here. So since this is 11.5, if you remove 11.5 from, if you remove 12 rather, 12 we have here. If we remove 1.5, we will be having a 10.5. So that is what we mark here. We added seam allowance, just one seam allowance. So we want to now add all of this together. So the first thing you do is to add, remember we have 1/4 inch here. So all you have to do is to join this to the waistline. At this point, you are not going to slant it. You make it straight. Here should be straight so that this point should be straight. You slant here. You can use a hip hop, but when you get to this 1 inch, make it straight. Cut it straight. We're going to explain that better. So now, if your client have a hips, so you will be able to, you can use your French curve. But if it's not someone that is too curvy, you can use your stretch ruler. You will still get it. So all you have to do is to connect this. So here we don't need to be sharp. Doesn't need to be sharp. And remember, we're going to hem. We're going to fold this downside. So we can use 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch is good enough to turn this side. 1.5 inch is good for turning. Rule it 1.5 inch. So now we are good to go. We can fold it. Now we want to cut. You can fold your material this way. So by the time we cut it, we will then show you what we have. So you have to be very careful. As you are cutting. You're cutting the two together. You can see. Remember, you need to curve. As you get to the 1 inch here, you may put your hands straight. Yes, I forgot one point. Here, there should be a slant on the waistline. There will be a slant, 1 inch slant on the waistline. 1 inch slant on the waistline. You have to do so to enable your material to relax on the waist. So you will come down by 1/4 inch. You might come down by 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch at the waistline. 1/4 inch at the waistline. You draw a line. Draw a line direct to the end of the waist. It's just like canoe. It's going to be just like canoe. So here and you cut it. You do it only on the front part, not on the. It's not going to be too. That is it. So you now cut the downside. I folded it inside. This is the 1.5 allowance. So let's show you what we have here. You can see it. You can see your skate. You can see it. You can see it. You can see the how it look like. By the time you were able to fold it. So all you need to do, this is your dart line. Just when you are sewing, you make sure you follow this line, and that's all. So the next thing we do. Okay, now we want to cut the back panel. And what do we need to do? We now notice that the back panel is usually bigger than the front panel. Why? Because of the zipper. Because of the zipper allowance. So what do we need to do? You just need to add 2 inches or 1.5 is good enough for you for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to use I'm going to use a 2 inches. I'm going to use 2 inches for the zipper allowance. So what I need to mark my 2 from this is folded as well. Notice it's still folded exactly what I did on the other one. It's folded into 2. So you put your 2 inches all the way, 2 inches all the way. Use your ruler. Use your ruler. You rule it so that you don't make any mistake. Don't make any mistake. Rule it. This is the seam allowance. This is the zipper allowance. This is the zipper allowance. This is where you will place your zip. So you can decide to fold it inside or you leave it the way it is. What else do you need to do? Is just to place this one on top of this. You have already drawn your line. This is the 2 inches seam, 2 inches seam zipper allowance. So you just place this on top of this. You place it on top of it. Remember, we slanted this area. We slanted the front of the front panel. The waist by 1/4 inch. We just slanted it so that this abdomen area, the abdomen area usually come down. It doesn't need to be straight. It doesn't need to be straight. So we measure it. You don't need to do the same thing at the back. No, the back doesn't require that. So all that you need to do is to cut exactly what you have here. Follow the exact measurement. The only difference from the back and the front panel is just the only difference is just that slanting and the zipper allowance. So you are cutting the exact size of it. You are cutting the exact size. You need to trim it properly. You make sure that your material is equal. Remember, the back panel also, you will put a dart. You don't need to, you are not slanting the back panel, you just make it equal. Okay, so you can see this is the back panel. This is the back panel. So what makes it big is because of the zipper allowance here. This one makes it. Remember, you need to put your dart at the back as well. You need to put your dart. So how do you determine that? You also exactly what you did here. 4.5 inches is what we use. So remember, you will not put it at this zipper allowance. No, you will start from this 2 inches here. You start from here to impute your zipper allowance. So you put the exact 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches. And what do you do after that? The back is usually 5. You can make your back 5. The front side was 4, the back we can make it 5. It's good. Now, what do you do? By each side, you put your 1/4 inch by each side, 1/4 inch. You connect it to you draw a line first and connect the 1/4 inch. It will enable you to put your dart. That is it. That's all you need. So the next thing we're going to do now is to cut our band. We are done with the body, the front panel, and the back panel. So the next thing we need to do now is to cut our band. Okay, now we want to cut the band. We want to cut the band. So look at it. So the remaining material, we are going to use it and cut the band. Remember, we mentioned that the band is we're going to fold it by two. We're going to fold it into two to form the band. Look at it. We fold it into like this. Since the waist was is 34, this will not be enough. This will not be enough to make the waist. So we're going to form it into two and join it, later join it. Do you understand? Now, so 34 divided by 2 now, we are going to have 34 divided by 2, we are going to have 17. So instead of making it 17, we use 19. Instead of 17, we use 18 for joining it. We're going to, I will explain. Remember, it's going to be 2 inches. It's going to be 2 inches. We will not make it exact 2 inches. We're going to give 2 inches gap. We are going to give a half inches gap for seam allowance. We're going to half inches gap for seam allowance. Hope you are seeing it. It's 2 inches. We use half inches. We're going to use it to attach it with the remaining part. So that is it. That's what we need to do. So let us cut out this one first. So in a situation where the material is not enough, you are going to manage your material so that you will get it right. So we are using this now for the waist. We're using this for the waist, but it's not going to be enough. We're going to cut out something like this again. We're going to cut out something like this again. Hope you are seeing it, eh? Yes. We're going to cut out 2 inches like this again. Alright, so now we are going to, with this now, we'll be able to get exact size we have. But instead of making it, instead of using 30, this is 28, and we now add about 4 inches to it. No, we want to divide it into 2. So we want to divide the total number into 2. 34 with the waist, 34. So we're using 18. We're going to use 18. We're going to use 18 from this. This is 18. So we use it and cut another 18. So now we're going to join these two together. You see it? We're going to join these two together. I will use my office pin and join it. Remember, when you are joining it, you're going to join it in a very beautiful way. In a way that when you join it, you use your machine and sew like 1/4 inch. So now look at it. This is what you can do in a situation that you don't have enough your material, you are managing your material. You just sew it around like this. Hope you are seeing what I'm doing. You sew it around like this. So you can see now. You can see it has joined. We're having a you see when you sew it inside, you will not even see the thread here. I hope you're getting it. So now by the time you finish, you just open it this way, open the center, so that your work will look neat. And by the time you have sewed it together, just open it this way and put it like this. Oh, that is beautiful. You can see this is paper. I just use a office pin, those pin to fill it down, and it's giving me what I want. So what do you need to do? If it's you have already folded it, so for those you may use the hemming gum. You may put the hemming gum inside to make it a bit thicker, but like this is okay by me. So remember, we said what we want is 2 inches. 2 inches is what we want on this waistband. That is it. This is 2 inches here. 2 inches. You mark here 2 inches. So the allowance here is for the folding. So you use your iron, fold it. You use your iron to fold it inside. Use the iron to fold it inside. Use your iron. Alright, I'm done folding it. As you can see, I'm done folding it. You will not even know that I joined it if I explain it, because you're just using a needle to join it together. So what we have here, 2 inches, you can see 2 inches. And now measure the length. We have 35. We have 35 on the length. 35 is the length we have here. 35. We have 35. So the remaining 1 inches, you're going to use it in fixing it together. Fixing it. It's very as easy as that. So you're going to use it and fix your band. You put it, the material like this is going to go inside. You stitch on this, you stitch on top. You can see it. It's going to be beautiful. Remember, you are going to stitch with a matching thread. You can see how it's looking. You see how it's looking. By the time you finish this and also join on the other material, join the front panel together, your work will be so beautiful, so amazing. You see now, you can see that I have attached the front panel. So, and here you need to remember that you need to hem it. You need to hem the downside. Can you see this? Can you see this? I have hemmed the downside. You see, you put it inside, fold it again, and you sew all through. You can see here too, I've hemmed it. So what I was not able to do is to put the darts. So by the time you put the darts, the shape will come up. You will be seeing the pencil sketch. So beautiful, you can see. You can see. And one beautiful thing, you might decide not to hem this area. You put what peplum. You can attach material downside to make it a flare peplum on the downside of it. So beautiful. So please, if this tutorial has been helpful to you, please give us a thumbs up, share, and also subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, I'm your friend, UJ Design.